Okay, good morning, everyone. Lamed Zayin Amid Aleph. Zak the Gemara. Minahan Imili. We spoke yesterday about the Sanhedrin sitting in a semicircle. We spoke about the fact that there were either 2 or 3 people that were listening and writing down every single word. And we mentioned the fact that there were backups, 48 backups, 23 in the front, 23, and 23. There were all these backups. And Lamaisa, there were 21 who were never going to be used, right? 23, and 2. And then the additional 21 who were never going to be used, but they needed to sit in the row. And then when somebody got bumped, either they needed another 2 because they needed to break a tiebreaker, or because, again, you have to win by 2. Or Lamaisa, one of them needed to leave because they were sick. So we would take the first guy on the front row, which, again, it was done in the matter of stature. You would take the first guy, put him onto the basin of 23. Everybody would then move up a seat. It's not that they would just take the new guy and put him in the front seat. Everybody would move up, and the new guy would go at the end. And that's how you play a little bit of musical chairs. So the Gemara says, Minahani Mili. How do we know this? How do we know what? How do we know, says Rashi, Dibagula Hayoshin, that they used to sit in a semicircle? Amar Ravacha Bar Chanina. So Ravacha Bar Chanina says, because there's a pasuk. The Amar Kra, the pasuk says, and we're going to bring the pasuk to prove, and we're going to learn a lot of things on the pasuk. The pasuk in Shir Hashirim says, Sharereich Agan Hasar, Al Yachsar HaMazeg, Bitneich Arimat Chitim, Suga Bashoshanim. We're going to explain all these words. Sharereich, the Sharereich Zu Sanhedrin. Why is Sharereich, which literally means a navel, why is that Sanhedrin? Shehiyoshevet B'tiburo Shel Olam, because it sits in the center of the world, literally and figuratively. So Sharereich is the beit-din, and it sits in the middle of the world. Agan, what does it mean, Agan? Shehi Megina al Kol Olam Kulo. It protects the entire world. Hasahar, Shehi Domeh LeSahar. It's like a sahar. That's the crescent of the moon, which is an agula, which at least it sometimes is a semicircle. So that's what we needed it for. But again, we're learning all of these other things about the Sanhedrin as well. That it protected the world. Al Yachsar HaMazeg, talking about a mixture. We know that when they had wine, they used to mix it with water, partly wine, partly water. What's the mixture by the Sanhedrin? Shem Hutzach Echad Me'am Lotzeis, Rowan Im Yesh Esrim Ushlosha Keneget Sanhedrin Ketana Yotzei Vim Lav Eno Yotzei. You can't be Yachsar, you can't lessen the mixture, i.e., if you need to have some of the people leave. This is talking about the big Sanhedrin of 71. Right, we were talking about 23 before, and you have all the backups. But the big Sanhedrin of 71, if somebody needs to leave because they're sick, because they're not feeling well, because they have to go somewhere, it's okay for people to go on vacation, etc., from Congress. However, you always have to have 23 judges in the Sanhedrin. Al Yachsar. That means you can't have more than 23 gam, which is a third. So a third, again, they round up with the 71 and 72, but a third of the 70, 23 times 3 is 69. So 2/3 can be gone. Like the mixture, 2/3, I think, water to wine, but 1/3 always needs to remain. 23 needs to remain.
Does that ever abstain, or do they have to actually vote?
I'm assuming that's a separate question, but I'm assuming that they always have to come to some type of conclusion, some type of decision. Yeah. Zag the Gemara, bidnei charei maschitim. What does it mean that the beit-din is like a heap of chita? Mari maschitim akol nemin mimena, just like a pile of chita, a heap of wheat, everybody gets hana from Af Sanhedrin, and everybody gets hana from them and from their reasons. Suga bashoshanim, roses, shafilu kesuga shashoshanim lo yifritzu behen pratzos. As Rashi explains, this one line is not going on the Sanhedrin, this is going on the Jewish people. That what? Look at Rashi, suga bashoshanim, about 10 lines to the right, or 20 lines down to the right. Gidura bashoshanim, klomar. Biazhara kalov avdala muetes heim nifrashim min aver. There's 2 ways to keep people away from sinning. Either with a little bit. Vein sarach gedar avan lafsikan. Shafilein rechokim min aver ala gedar shoshanim. There's 2 ways to keep people away from sinning. Either a little bit or a lot. Either you have to put up a pile of rocks in front of them, or even some roses is going to prevent them from sinning. So the Jewish people only need some roses to prevent them from sinning, as opposed to a pile of rock. You don't have to hold their hands and tie them down. Even a little bit of separation, a little bit of roses will prevent the Jewish people from sinning. That's what this min, this non-believer said to Rav Kahana. Amrisu nida shari liyechude bahada gavra. Efshar esh bin uras ve'ena mehav heves. I don't understand. We know that you can't have yichud between a man and a woman who are forbidden to each other. So how is it possible that a man and a woman can live together? I mean, sometimes she's mutter to her husband, but sometimes she's benida. How do you let her have yichud with her husband when she's benida? Amarlei ha-toira he'iyada aleinu suga bashoshanim shafilu kesuga bashoshanim lo yivritzu behen bratzos. You're right. But the Jewish people don't need that many guards. Jewish people need a few guards, but they don't need that many guards because by definition they're good people, and therefore Lamaisa, they're able to go ahead and they're able to live with their wives even when they are benida. There's a whole discussion here in Tosfos about this idea of staying with a woman benida. Reish Lakish Amar, Mehacha Reish Lakish says there's another place that we learn that the Jewish people in general, even the ones that aren't the best, are still better than most, and that they only need a bed of roses, let's say, to keep them from sinning, as opposed to needing a bed of avanim. Reish Lakish Amar Mehacha Kipelach harimon rakasech. Even the rakasech, even the empty ones are like a rimon. Afilu reikanin shabach melein mitzvos kireimon. Even the ones that are a little bit more empty than the others are filled with mitzvos like a rimon, which supposedly has 613 seeds. Rabbi Zera Amar Mehacha vayarach es reach begadav. Another way that we see that even the not best people are still good, because we see that Yaakov was smelled by Yitzchak, and he smelled his begadav. Al tikre begadav ela bogdav. He smelled not only his begadav but his bogdav. Even the Jewish rebels smelt good to Yitzchak Avinu. Hanu bar Yuni to have a b'shivuse de Rav Zera. They were bar Yunis, robbers that were in the shivuse of Rav Zera. Dav mekarvlu ki echid din hadrulu b'tiyufta. So Rav Zera tried to do kiruv on them. V'avukab to Rabbanan. The other Rabbanan, for various reasons, didn't want him to do kiruv. And they said, don't do kiruv on them. Kinach nafshid Rav Zera. When Rav Zera died, Amri, so the bar Yuni said, the robbers said, Oy, Ada idna have a charicha katan shakeh, have a bayal on rachame. Until now, the short man with burnt legs. It says elsewhere that Rav Huna was short and he had burnt legs. So Rabbi Zera was short with burnt legs. The short men with burnt legs used to daven for us for rachamim. Hashta man bayal on rachamim. Who's going to daven for us for rachamim? It means we were sinning, but we were able to sin because he had rachmanus on us. And he did kiruv and he davened Hashem for us, but now we got nobody protecting us. So what did they do? So obviously, hiru b'libayu v'avdu tshuva. They did tshuva in their hearts. You don't always see the peiros of your actions in your life, but over here he had an influence on them, and after he died, so they actually went ahead and were choser b'tshuva. Shalosh shuras, Amar Bai, Shema minaki naide kulu naide, musical chairs. When one moves, they all move. V'leim alahu, why can't some of the people say, or whoever wants to say, hada idna hava yasimna bereisha? Until now, we're sitting at the head. Hashta mosiva li binidave, bidonve. Now I'm in the back. Means what does it mean? That means the guy who was in the front of the third row and the front of the second row now goes to the back of the second row and the back of the first row. So why can't the guy say, now I was sitting in the front? Again, if assuming this is the front, so this guy over here in the back of the third row now goes to the guy who's in the front of the third row now goes to the back of the second row. And the guy that's in the front of the second row will go to the back of the first row. And a new guy will come to the back of the third row. Why can't they say, I understand, beforehand I was in the front. Now all of a sudden I'm in the back. We say back to Marabai, Damar Lehachi, Haviznav, Zonav Larayos, Valti Rosh Leshualim. You're better off being the lion's tail than the head of the fox. You're better off being in the chashav row, at the very end of the chashav row, than being the leader of the not as chashav people. Zok the Mishnah. Keitzad ma'ayim in es ha'edim. How are we ma'ayim the edim? Ma'ayim means to sort of try to scare them into not testifying falsely. Al edei nefashos hayu mechnisen osanu ma'ayimin aleim. We would say the following to them. And the Gemara now is going to tell us what we say to the edim in order to make sure that they don't testify falsely. And parenthetically, within this discussion in the Mishnah, they're going to add some facts. So I'll tell you when it's us talking to the edim and when it's just the Mishnah telling us some parenthetical facts. This is what we say to the edim. Quote, Shema tomer me'omad. Maybe you're going to tell us, does he say over there me'omad or me'umad? Me'omed? Like, oh. So Shema Tomru Ma'omed, maybe you're going to tell us something that you didn't actually see. That means, as we'll see in the Gemara, Ma'omed means that there are times where you can come to a very pretty safe conclusion, but you didn't actually see it with your own eyes. You see two people walk into a room, one of them comes out and the other one doesn't. Chances are that he beat the other one to death or killed him, but you don't know for sure, you didn't see it. So Shema Tomru Muhammad, make sure not to do anything like that, Ma'omed, where you don't necessarily know. I think he calls it a conjecture. Umishmua, something that you heard from somebody else, which would be aid mipi aid, hearing it from another aid. Umipi adam neman, either just a shmua that you read on Facebook, or aid mipi aid that you actually heard from another aid, even if it's mipi adam neman. You shouldn't do that. Shema iatem yodim shesofenu livdok, and furthermore, you don't know shesofenu livdok aschem b'jishal chakira. Warning: don't conjecture anything. Don't go ahead and just tell me things you heard. Don't tell me rumors. Don't tell me things you heard from other edim. You should know, by the way, we're going to be pretty tough on you. Bedrisha v'chakira. Furthermore, have a yodin. You should know shaloki dine mamanos dine nefashos. Don't think that dine mamanos is like dine nefashos. Dine mamanos adam nosein mamonu mischaperlo. If you make a mistake in dine mamanos, you could just pay up, and then you're fine. Dine nefashos damo v'dam zarosav tuluyim bo'atsof olam. If you make a mistake in dine nefashos and you kill somebody who's not supposed to be killed, you're going to pay the consequences. And not only you're going to pay the consequences, you're going to pay the consequences, and your children are going to pay the consequences for killing him and killing his children. What do you mean? We give them a warning. This is all the warning that we're giving them.
Give them to sit in the task on the state.
I think they sit. I think so. Shekain matzinu b'kayin. We say to them, because we see by Kayin shaharages achiv shneimar demei achicha tzoakim eino omer dam achicha. It doesn't say the dam of your brother. Ela demei achicha damo v'dam zarosav. We see that he was held liable for Cain's dam and for all of Cain's and all of Cain's descendants' dam, which will no longer be there, and therefore you'll be punished and all of your descendants will be punished as well. That's the end quote that we say to the guy. We're going to continue in a second, but parenthetically, davar acher, there's another opinion on demei achicha, sheyadamu mushlach ala eitzim v'alavanim. Why does it say plural demei? Because his blood was not just a little bit of blood, it was thrown all over the place. As we'll see in the Gemara, he stabbed him numerous times because nobody knew how to kill anybody, unfortunately, or fortunately. And Lamaisi kept stabbing him because he didn't know at what point he's actually going to kill him, until he actually did kill him. So if he would have known right away, stab him in the heart, stab him in the neck, then he would have killed him right away. But he kept stabbing him, Lamaisi. Okay. Now we say back to the guy, back to the edim. Lefichach nivra adam yechidi. I want you to know that this is why people were created yechidi. This is why everybody came from a yachid, from Adam Harishon. And then Lamaisa, we were all created from Adam, but there was one Yachid that was created first. This is a famous idea. It means that one person is the entire world. The entire world started from one person. If you help a person, it's like you're saving the entire world. If you damage a person, it's like you're damaging the entire world. Now, parenthetically, again, we're done talking to Aiden for a second. Another reason that he created the world with one person is because of Shalom Abrios. Realize that every single person is separate and a separate creation. And Lamaisa, you shouldn't think that your father is greater than anybody else's father. You all come from one place. They also didn't create more than one, because if we had Adam and a few other people created at once, even if it was all from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, people will say, well, Hashem created Adam, and a different God created this one, a different God created this one. And another reason it all came from Adam is if you make a mold, so if Adam was there and he was the mold, then if you expected all of the people that came from Adam would look exactly like Adam, because it's one mold. That's how it is when you make a mold in the world. But when it comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he made one mold, and yet all the offspring of that mold are different than the mold itself. Because everybody comes from one, and we're all separate, every single person needs to say Bishvili Nivra Olam, not in a haughty way, but in a responsibility way. That I have a responsibility to literally keep up the entire world. Now, back to the Edim. We're going to keep going. And if you say, Malanu Letzarazos, wow, you just scared us. And Lamaisa, you're threatening that we're going to die if we do it wrong. And you're threatening that you're going to do Drisha V'Chakira. I don't want this. Who needs this? V'alok Farnem are too bad. Once you're here, you can't leave. V'hu Eid or Ra'o Yadayim Lo Yagiv and Asav no. The pasuk clearly says that if you know information, you got to testify. Okay, we're here, but Lamaisa, we still have a taina. We don't want to testify because what happens if we're wrong? A sincere taina. If we're wrong and the guy ends up dying, we're going to be responsible for his death. And even if we're not wrong, Lamaisa, the guy dies, how are we going to know whether we were wrong or not? Once we kill him, we kill him. We say back to him, don't worry. If the guy dies, then you should know that he deserved to die. Because Baruch Hu will not let somebody die unless he deserves to die. So don't be nervous to testify if you're testifying truthfully, because if because of your testimony the guy ends up dying, we know that he deserved to die and nothing will happen to you. Zok the Gemara, flying over here. Tana Rabbanan. Keitzad Ma'omid. How do we go ahead, and again, how are we Ma'omid? What's an example of a case where we say to him, don't testify if you have a case where you're conjecturing information? So similar to the example I gave you, where two people walk into a room and only one comes out. Omer lahen, we say to him as follows: Shema kachriitem sharatz achachavera lechorba v'ratzem acharav. Maybe you saw somebody running after his friend into a chorba and you ran after them. Umatzatzim, and when you got there, you found sayif biyado. One guy was holding a sword. V'damo mitaftef, and there was dam all over the sword and all over the floor. V'harog mefarfer, and the guy's still twitching because he's literally was just killed. Im kach re'isem lo re'isem klum. We say to him, too bad. If that's what you saw, you can't testify. Even though it's obvious that he killed him. If you don't see the actual killing, then Lamaisa, you cannot testify that you saw him kill. Tanya, we have a similar brayso. Rabbi Shimon ben Shadach, Era ben Echamai, swearing, La Reisi Echad Sharatzach of Er Lechorba, Viratzi Achor, Reisi Sav Biyada, V'dam of Tate, V'harag Mefarfer, V'amarti Lo. Says Rabbi Shimon ben Shadach, I said to the guy, Rasha, mi hargo lazeh. Rasha, who killed this guy? Oh, ani o ate. It was either me or you, and I know it wasn't me. It was clearly you. Unfortunately, I can't kill you because, again, I can't testify against you because at the end of the day, we need two people to see it, and we need two people to actually see it. What do you want me to do? So he says that the person who knows the machshavos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will pay back you for killing your friend. Amru, and they said, Lo zazu misham nachash v'chisho v'meis. And what happened in the story is, the guy was chayiv misa, and the snake came and got you. So again, don't think you'll get away with it. But what's interesting here is that what the Gemara is adding with this story is that even though lamaisa min hadin, we can't kill somebody unless we have the right testimony, at the end of the day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will get the person. So now the Gemara asks just an interesting question. He says, let's assume that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was killing this person. What misa was this person chayiv for killing somebody else? Which one of the arba misas based on chayiv for killing somebody? Hereg. What misa did he get by the nachash biting him? That's not hereg. He bit him. Hereg means chop off your head. Just review. Skila is when you throw the guy off and you throw rocks on him. Streifer is when he drinks a boiling hot liquid. Hereg is when you chop off his head. And chenek is when you put him into a pile of dung and you put a rope and two animals and you choke him to death. So over here, a person who gets bit by a nachash, so as Rashi tells us, the venom goes in and burns your entire insides. So that's actually streifa. But a person who kills somebody else is chayav for hereg. So the Gemara asks an interesting question. I understand he deserved to die, but he didn't deserve to die by sreifa. He deserved to die by hereg. Well, why did he deserve to die at all? When the time the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, even though the Sanhedrin was gone, the 4 mitos bezin were not batel. Lo batel, what are you talking about? V'habatlu. They don't do it anymore. There's no Sanhedrin. Says the Gemara, no. Of course the Sanhedrin was batel, and the arba misos were batel. Ela din arba misos lo batlu. No, but the din of arba misos still stand. What does that mean? Mishan is chayiv skila. If somebody's chayiv skila, so of course we can't kill him, but God will get him, and God will get him in a way of skila. Oh, no fel min hagag, like we throw the guy by skila off the roof. This guy will either fall off the roof by himself, or chaya dorasto, or a wild animal will come and stomp on him like the rocks would have stomped on him. Mishan is chayiv streifa. If he was chayiv burning, oh no fel b'deleke, he'll fall into a fire, or nachash machisho, or a nachash will bite him, and the inside will be burnt. Mishan is chayiv hariga, to have his head chopped off, or nimsa malchus, to be given to the malchus, which will chop off his head, or listin by an alav, and the way that listin robbers would kill people were with the sword. Mishan is chayiv chanek, o tovea ben nahar, he'll either drown in a nahar, like he would drown in the dung, o meis bisironki, or he would die by choking. So the Gemara says, I understand, this guy deserves to have gotten hereg. He should have been nimsar lamalchus, or listin by an alav. Why did a nachash come? Amrei hahu cheda achrisi havabei. Don't worry, this wasn't the first thing he did wrong today. He went beforehand, and this morning he actually did something that he was chayav a different chait for. Amar mishin is chayav shemitos beizin nidon b'chamura. We know that sreifa is more chamor than hereg. So this guy didn't have such a good day. He did something in the morning that he was chayav sreifa, because he would have done it yesterday, he probably would have died. He did something in the morning that he was chayav sreifa. Then he's running away and he goes ahead and he kills somebody. Now he's chayav hereg. Well, when you're chayav 2 mitzvos beis, and you take the more machmir one, which is sreifa, and lemaisa he got sreifa. Me'aymed bedine nefashos hu delo amdinan habedine mamanos amdinan. So the Gemara says very interestingly that this Mishnah, which says that we warn edim, don't go ahead and conjecture up a case, we're talking about a dine nefashos. That implies that if you see something in dine mamanos, you see 2 people walk in, and one guy's holding a briefcase, and the other guy's not, and you see the other guy walk out with the briefcase, so you can conjecture the fact that if the guy has a black and blue eye, that Lamaisa, this guy beat him up, and forget about from Dine Nefashos cases, but you can assume that he took his briefcase and stole it. So it sounds like by Dine Mamanos, if you're able to say that it's pretty certain that there was $100 on the table when the guy walked into the room, and now he walks out and there's no money on the table, it's pretty certain that he took the money. You can testify in Beis Din that he took the money. By Dine Nefashos, you can't. By Dine Mamanos, you can. Who's that like? Keman Karavacha. Tanya, what's an example of Dine Mamanos where you can not see it but pretty much assume and testify that the guy did something wrong? Gamal ha'ocher ben agmalim. a gamal which is mating amongst other gamal, v'nimsa gamal harag betzido. They got very wild when they were mating. B'yadua shezehargo. So you see one animal that's mating with another animal, and he gets very wild, and you didn't see him actually kill the other animal, but when you come back, the second animal is dead. So what do you do now? You didn't see the death, but you can assume that he didn't have a heart attack and that he killed him while he was mating. So Lamaisa, the Gemara says, you can testify in Beis-din that this gamal killed the other gamal, because it's dinei mamanos. Says the Gemara, that's beautiful. However, ulatamecha, according to you, aid mi pied diktani b'dinei nefashu d'lamrina hab'dinei mamanos amrina. That implies that the other example that we warned the guy, don't go ahead and testify aid mi pied, something that you saw on Facebook or something that you heard from another aid. Don't testify about that by dinei nefashos. It sounds like aid mi pied, if you hear something from another person who tells you that they saw something, they saw a hava by dinei mamanos, you can go ahead and testify in Beis-din. Says the Gemara, that's not true. V'hatana, we know, im amar, if an aid says, quote, hu amar li sha'ani chayav lo, he, the defendant, I get up, I'm the aid, and I say, you, the defendant, said to me, quote, ani chayav lo, that you're chayav to somebody else. That's not aid mi pi aid. I heard you admit. The problem here, as the Gemara will explain, is that you admitted in front of an aid, but not in front of the other baldin. You need to admit in front of both. But for our purposes, ish ploni amar li, if I get up in Beis-din and say, he told me, quote, shehu chayav lo, that another person is chayav to a third party. So I get up in Beis-din and say, I heard from the rabbi over here that he told me that X lent Y money. That's aid mi pi aid. Lo amar klum. That's not anything, because you can't testify even by dinei mamanos aid mi pi aid. At sheyomar bifanenu hodelo shehu chayav lo. Until I can get up and say that I heard him admit to owing money to somebody else in front of me and in front of the other baldin. Then Masayim Zuz. So at the end of the day, what do we see clearly here for our purposes? That when you're dealing with aid mi pi aid, even by dinei mamanos, I can't go ahead and testify something that I heard from somebody else. But you're telling me here that it's only by dinei nefashos that you can't testify aid mi pi aid. It's only by dinei nefashos that you can't go ahead and be ma'omed. Says the Gemara, Ama afagav depsile b'dinei mamanos amrina lahu b'dinei nefashos, hachanami avagav depsile b'dinei mamanos amrina lahu b'dinei nefashos. The Gemara says, so here's the bottom line. Don't assume. We assume that the fact that we're warning this guy by dinei nefashos, don't conjecture up cases. Don't go aid mi pi aid. We made an assumption. If we're warning him to that by dinei nefashos, it must mean that by dinei mamanos, it's allowed to do that. Says the Gemara, don't make that assumption. By dinei mamanos, it's not allowed to be ma'omed either. Now again, Rabbi Acha would argue, but the Gemara seems to be saying by dinei mamanos, it's not okay to testify based on there's a good chance that that's what happened. In dinei mamanos, it's not okay to testify aid mi pi aid. And nevertheless, since of the severity of dinei nefashos, we're going to go ahead and we're going to warn a guy before he goes ahead. He knows that even by dinei mamanos, he's not allowed to come ahead and testify aid mi pi aid. But because of the severity of dinei nefashos, we're going to warn an aid before he comes. Make sure, even though you know you can never do this, even by dinei mamanos, make sure that in this case, I'm just reminding you that because it's dinei nefashos, make sure you don't go ahead and bring testimony based on something that's probably happened but that you didn't see. Don't come bring testimony based on something that was aid mi pi aid. Even though you can never do that. But I just want to double remind you, since you're about to testify in a capital crimes case, I want to just double remind you of those things. But it doesn't mean that we can make an assumption about dinei mamanos cases. Zak the Gemara havu yodim, you should know. Amar Rav Yehuda Breder Rav Chia, this whole story with Cain and Hevel, Malamed she'asa Cain Hevel achiv chaburas psios shelo hayodea mehechan neshama yortza, like I said, ad she'egiya latzavaro, till he got him and hit him in the neck, and then he finally killed him, but he kept going because he had no idea. Well, for all we know, he stabbed him in the foot. Now we know you don't kill somebody by stabbing in the foot, but he didn't realize that you have to stab somebody in the heart or in the neck or in the head. He thought maybe the foot or the bottom or whatever. So the Maisa, unfortunately, he had to go ahead and give him a lot of chaburos. Not necessarily did he stab him or however he killed him. V'amar Rav Yehuda Breder Rav Chia, Miyom shepascha aretz et pia v'kibalto l'damo shel Hevel, shuv lo pascha. Shene'amar mikanafa aretz miro shamanu tzvila tzadik, mikanafa aretz v'lo mipia aretz. So the Gemara says, from the day that the Aretz came, and the Gemara is telling us that the Aretz, after Cain killed Hevel, the Aretz came and swallowed up Hevel's blood. It didn't want Hevel's blood to be all over the place. So from that day that the Aretz opened up and swallowed the blood, it never opened up again. Because we see that we went ahead and the Knafa Aretz, the corner of the Aretz, went ahead and sang praises to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it didn't say that the pia, that the mouth of the Aretz said praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because the mouth of the Aretz can never open up again. The question that hopefully you're all thinking, about Tiftach Aretz at pia, we know that the Aretz opened up its mouth and swallowed Korach Vadaso. You just told me it never opened up its mouth again. Amar le Lera Pascha Letova Lo Pascha. It never opened up its mouth again for good. Therefore, by singing the praises of God, it couldn't open up its mouth. But for bad, it opened up its mouth again. It opened up its mouth to swallow Korach Vadaso. Another thing Rabbi Yehuda Brei Rechia says, and the rest of the parak is going to be agadata. Galus mechaperes avon mechza. When you sin and you have to go into exile, then lamaisa, when you're thrown into exile, either literal exile, it could be that you have to go to the Ir Mikla, but I think over here it's talking about galus, regular exile. You have to run away from people and from killers. Galus mechaperes avon mechza, or you're sentenced to galus. So lamaisa, you're forgiven for half of your sin. Shenamar, because it says ksiv vayisa navanad. Cain was worried he was going to be a nav and not, two different types of wandering. Ulvaso ksiv vayeshe be'eretz nod. He wasn't na, he was only nad. So you see that by going into galus, he got rid of half of his sin. Amar Rav Yehuda. Galus mechaperes shlosha devarim. Shenamar. Galus is mechaper for three things, as it says. Hayoshev ba'ir azos yamus ba'cherev uvarav uvadaver. A person who sits in this place will die from cherev rav v'daver v'yotze v'nafal alakasim atzar malechem v'chaya v'haiselo nafsho l'shalal. Says the Gemara that we see, based on Rashi, we see that what? That person who goes to Galus is mechaper for things that he would have done, one of these three things. He's mechaper for cherev, rav, and davar that would have happened to him. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Galus mechaperes ala kol. It's not only mechaperes on some of the stuff and on half the stuff, it's mechaperes on everything. Shenamar ko amar Hashem kisru eshaisha zeh ariri gever lo yitzach biyamav ki lo yitzach mizaro ish yoshev al kisei David u'moshel od bihuda. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that Yechanya will not have any children as a punishment for his sin. Ubasar de Gala, but then he went into Galus, and it says Ksiv Uvinei Yechanya Asir Shaltiel Beno. So we see that he had children. How is it possible that he had children if he was promised that he would not have any children? Because by going to Galus, he was forgiven for his sin, and therefore Lamais he was able to have children, even though he was promised that he wouldn't have any children. Asir, why were her children called Asir and Shaltiel, not common names? Why was he called Asir? She'ibarto imo bebeis hasurin, because the mother became pregnant while she was in jail. Shaltiel, why was he called Shaltiel? Sheshatlu el shelo kederech hanishtalin, because God planted him in his mother's womb in a non-natural way. Gemiri, what does this mean? Well, Asir again, his mother became pregnant in prison. Shaltiel, his mother not only became pregnant in prison, but became pregnant in a non-natural way. What does that mean? Gemiri she'ena isha misaberes me'umad. A woman cannot become pregnant while she's standing up. Vihinis abra me'umad. His mother was in a place where there wasn't even enough room for her to lie down, and nevertheless she was able to get pregnant when she was lowered in, or when her husband was lowered into the jail cell, and therefore Lamaisa, seemingly he was again planted in his mother's womb, Shaltiel, in a non-natural way. Davar acher, why else is he called Shaltiel? Shenishal al alaso el. I believe there's different ways to read it, but I believe the way you read it is Shenishal al alaso. Even though El Zerubbabel is part of that next pasuk, it's the way that my Gemara reads it, but I believe that it's read Shenishal al alaso el. But again, I think there's different ways to read it. That he was, either way, it's the same thing. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu had a kaviyachol ask to undo his Allah, to undo his shvua. Because again, God took a shvua that he wasn't going to give children to the Yechanya. And over here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs to ask, after he throws him into Galus, he needs to ask Kiviyachal, the Pamal Yeshamala, to go ahead and to renege on this Shvua, so that he could go ahead and he can give children to Yechanya. And finally, Zerubbabel, Shenizra Bevavel. His son, Shaltiel's son Zerubbabel, was called Zerubbabel, Shenizra Bevavel, Umashemo Nechemya ben Chachal Yeshmo. We'll pick up here tomorrow. Good Chodesh.